It's fucking hard being classy. So this episode we are talking about One for the Money. There are trigger warnings in this episode regarding stalking, sexual assault and misogyny. We're nerdazons. So this month was my choice and I chose one of my favourite series by Janet Evanovich, One for the Money. I read these in high school. I think at the moment there's like 20 something books in the series.
Wow. I didn't think there was that many. I thought it was like
Plus
10.
there's spin-offs. So you got like Plum Lovin', which is Valentine's themed one. You got Plum Spooky, which is the Halloween one. And then, yeah, I got up to about 12 or 13 and I was like, I don't even know why I gave up. But then when we were discussing episodes, I was like, oh my goodness, we have to do this. It was one of my favorite series. Rereading it, it still holds up.
So like when I first heard about this was years ago when I saw a random trailer for the movie. I didn't really know about it. Thought the movie looked dumb. That was the end of it. And then you randomly picked it and I'm like, I don't want to, but oh my God, whoa. Loved the book.
I'm so glad you loved the book.
It did take me, so I listened to it for free on YouTube and it is brilliantly read aloud by CJ Crick.
Really? You liked it? I listened to it.
She got the voices in, I felt like I was in that part of America.
Oh, I hated her reading it.
But I think because you read it first and you created your own, like when you read things yourself, you create your own image and of like the characters yourself, whereas to me this was just my first introduction to it, so I really had
she's a terrible reader. She had too many pauses and it did my head in.
I liked it.
I found it on, so the book is available on Kindle Unlimited as well.
Okay, cool. See, yeah, I mean, preference. You can either read it yourself. There are other people who read the book. I kind of liked it, but I think it's because I just found it and I started it. To me it was, I just need to start this book because I know I have to read it. That was my thought when I went into it. Once I got 20 minutes in, I was pretty hooked. It was a really good story.
Would you read more of the series?
Listen, yes.
I mean, listen.
I would actually. Like, it was not what I was expecting. I think the cover needs a serious revamp of the book.
Oh, but it is from 94, so yeah, I mean, I like
still
the original covers.
They're boring, in my opinion. I feel like they could have a bit more design to them, but I didn't read it, so...
Never judge a book by its cover.
I wrote that in my notes, and I put, literally, don't judge a book by its cover, because this book, yeah, I judged it at first, and then when I read it, I was just like, I was not expecting that level of, I guess, story in it. I'm not going to go into it too far.
So we'll just talk about what it is. You've lost your job as a department lingerie buyer. Your car's been repossessed and most of your furniture and small appliances have been sold off to pay last month's rent. Now the rent is due again and you live in New Jersey. What do? If you're Stephanie Plum, you become a bounty hunter. Not just nickel and dime bounty hunter, you go for the big money. That means cop gone bad. And not just any cop, she goes after Joe Morelli, a disgraced former vice cop who is also the man who took Stephanie's virginity at 16 and then wrote details on the bathroom wall. With pride and rent and money on the line, Plum plunges headlong into her first case, one that pits her against the ruthless adversaries, people who'd rather kill than lose. In Stephanie Plum, Evanovich has created a resourceful and humorous character who stands apart from the pack of gritty female detectives.
So for storyline, I think this story was intense. It was a good investigative story with enough danger to pump the adrenaline in the fear of getting caught while she was doing what she was doing. Yeah, the story gripped me. I feel like if it was done right in a movie, it could have been like an equally good crime movie or show or series. But it was not done well. We will get to that later.
Absolutely. To me, Ranger, I'm on Team Ranger. Totally Team Ranger over Team Morelli.
So hang on. I've written a lot about the different characters. So let me just scroll to my Ranger notes. So I actually feel like in the story, he came across as a really good friend. Like I didn't feel any sexual attraction. I didn't feel much of that when I was reading it. I really felt like he was... the big bear looking after the little bear. Like, it's like, I'll just look after the little guy. And I feel like there was a good friendship there. I didn't feel anything other than that. And I liked that. I liked that she had a friend in a man's world. to help guide her through. The movie was different.
It gets different as the movies go on.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen.
But, oh my goodness, and can I just say the grandma? In the book, the grandma
Yes.
is absolutely hilarious.
She seemed so much more. Do you
Eccentric?
remember? Yeah, like do you remember? It was an old Aussie show called Mother and Son,
Oh my
and
goodness,
it had
yes.
what was her name? Ruth Cracknell.
Yes.
She was so funny. I loved her because she played like she didn't have all her marbles upstairs, but
Yeah.
then she'd do something and it's like, hang on a second, do you actually have all your marbles? Do you know what you're doing? Because she'd give you the cheeky smile, and that is the vibe I got from the grandma. Like, she'd be fun, but it's like deep down she knows exactly what she's doing. It's just, I'm old, I can do it anyway.
I think that's what I'm going to be when I'm old.
So I said
Like,
that to my partner. I said, I'm totally going to try and get away with so much crap when I'm older.
Yeah, but just the way that she's so old, but she wants to follow in her footsteps and
Yeah.
wear little shorts the way
I
that
know.
Stephanie wears shorts.
It's just like, and Stephanie's like, oh, if she wants to wear it, she can wear it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I do like the grandma. Let's jump to it. Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
He scared the crap out of me in the book. And I
Yes.
remember the first scene in the boxing gym, I messaged you and I said straight away, I said, he's either going to be removed or incredibly toned down, because I know what Katherine Heigl's films are. But in the book, for him to freak the crap out of me from a book, the character writing on him was done perfectly. And then CJ Crit, she really like whispered creepily in the microphone as she was reading it, and I had my big noise cancelling headphones on, so I really couldn't hear anything else. And I found myself on occasion kind of like looking around, like I felt alert when I was listening to him. He is the actual definition of a psychopath. He enjoyed what he was doing and he felt he could not let go if someone got away. Like, that is a psychopath.
Yeah.
And he, like, I can't believe a literal animal like him in a
And-
book, like in a story like that. And I'm sure there are animals like that in the world, but it's just,
But
A scary
like, to
thought.
me, when he was calling up and he's like, Stephanie.
yes, that's where it
I'm
creeped
gonna
me
get
out.
you.
And then the door,
Ugh. And then the fact that what he did to Lula.
yes, that's
that was
sadistic.
so heartbreaking.
Yes.
I freaking love Lula's character.
Yes.
She's so funny, the way that she's like, next time bring me some snacks. And you're
Yeah.
like, actually, I do have another point about the book regarding that. I want to say that a few downfalls to the book is that there is a lot of slut shaming in this book.
Yes.
And there is a lot of stereotyping of people, especially those of colour. It could be because of the time that it was written as well. Because, you know, it was the 90s and go back to Friends and
Yeah.
stuff like that. There was so many jokes that would not fly today.
No, and like, I think we're in such a progressive time right now, and it's ever changing, that I feel a lot in just even in the last 20 years is not going to fly. Yeah, I think if we reviewed a lot of things later on, it just wouldn't work.
That was one of my biggest downfalls for the book. Like in the 90s when I was reading it, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Didn't really come across.
Yeah.
But when I was reading it, I was like, wait. That's what kind of turned me off.
Yeah, it's very...
But I freaking love this book.
Yeah, it's such a good story. Even the investigation was interesting because they didn't give too much away. Ramirez was enough danger to make you think, hang on, what can I do without being caught in his radar? Like, that was a big red flag for me of like, don't go this way. What if he, like, I was constantly thinking, what if he's there? What if he's waiting? But it brings me to what I wrote about Stephanie Plum.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about her, she knew what her strength was and she knew how to investigate with a time that didn't have internet. So she had to, you know, rely on the phone book, newspapers, word of mouth from people in a very gossipy time, whereas most people now stick to themselves and things like that. So I like that the book really focused on her strengths. She knew she wasn't good with guns or fighting or anything, so she tried the other avenue, and I thought that was really good and smart of her. It's incredibly misogynist. Even when they, like, guys will talk to her, they think, oh, you're just a girl, you shouldn't be doing this type of work, go work back in a lingerie store sort of thing. And it's like, no, we can do so much more than that.
Yeah,
And I
that's
feel
right.
like that really drove her too. It's like, I'm going to prove every single one of you guys that I can do this.
I have a funny story. So when Costco first opened up
Yep.
and they gave away free samples,
Yep.
there's a scene where, there's a part in the book where she's got no money. She's struggling to find food. So she goes to Costco and she gets all the free samples and everything. And the first time I went to Costco, I was getting all the free samples going, I'm Stephanie Plum. I'm Stephanie Plum right now.
Yeah, I think free sample dates is usually on Saturdays, but it's so
No, they're all
packed.
the time.
Oh, no, in Casula.
Oh, the one in Auburn?
Yeah.
Free samples all the time. And I'm like, I'm Stephanie Plum. Every time
It's
I go
so
in.
funny that that's one thing I really love about America. So I watch a lot of food vlogs and things, and like people who travel to show you ways you can do things cheaper and stuff. And a lot of them will do like download the apps and get free food. And I'm like, why don't we have any of this? We have none of it. It's so expensive. But what can you do?
And also, you know, I like the fact that when Morty...
Yeah, Morty is... I'm
one
sure
who blows up?
Morty Byers is the one that she took the case from.
See, that was a huge whoa. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that at all,
But
for him to get blown up.
I feel
And,
like that was a very important scene for her though, because, you know, she was very headstrong. And you could read that about her, that no, the more you tell me not to do it, the more I am going to do it, and the more I'm going to solve this case. And you know, she thinks that she's not going to be attacked. She can kind of just make it to the next step without being attacked or anything. And I think that was a pivotal point for her to realize, hang on a second, this is getting real. I am too deep. I need to be careful. And I think that really changed her attitude, which was good. She needed that.
Yeah, because she kind of felt like she was invincible the entire time.
Yeah. Like the way she stole his car and stuff. And I get it. She was cocky and she's like, yeah, I can see I can do this. But she needed that to bring her down to reality, to be like, you are actually against some very nasty people.
But also, the whole point of it was she wanted revenge on Morelli.
Okay. This is a point that I had written. I wrote it in my movie notes. All right. So, but I'll try and do it without crossing. I really feel when you read the book, it's believable that she is down on her money. They cut a lot of this out in the movie, and I'm going to have to cross. I don't think I could do this without not crossing. So one of the notes that I put about the movie, which was down, is you really don't believe she is down on her luck. You know, she's dressed nicely. She has all this junk food. Yeah, she's got all this junk food in the house. Whereas in the book, the first like 25 minutes of listening to it, it really paints the picture. Her car's getting towed. She's had to sell all her appliances off. She's got to go to her parents' place more often just to get food. You know, there are Sundays she wasn't eating and things like that. And so it did come across as believable that yes, the money was a big factor, but I feel the money and Morelli were an equal factor for her drive. Whereas in the movie, it really came across that Morelli was her biggest drive, and I didn't like that she's just going after it because of a guy. Like, oh, is that what women like need to do? Just go and get revenge on one guy? No, she had so much more invested in the case. And that's what I liked about the book.
I liked the parents in the book as well. Like, they were hilarious, the way that it's 6:02. Oh my goodness, she's not here. She must be dead.
She's had a car crash. Yeah. The parents were so involved. I think I'd get very frustrated if my parents were that involved.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
it. And then when the parents are like, oh, by the way, come over for dinner. We've got a guest coming over. And he was just such a creeper. I would hate for my parents to set me up.
Yeah. But I think it is that whole era of the time, you know, parents are very involved. She's already divorced. She should have a husband. She's still good looking. You know, she needs to have that. And I think that's where the mother figure pushed in, and it was really funny. I found it really funny.
Yeah. There was some points where I was like on the bus to work or whatever, and I was reading the book, just giggling my head off, just you know, between the banter between the granny and Stephanie, and like even Lulu was just hilarious.
They were really great characters.
Absolutely. I've got way more to say about the movie.
I do too, but I just want to say as well, I really loved the interconnectedness in the book. So everyone knew everyone, you could just drop a name and someone knows about that name through this person's cousin's wife. And I really liked that, and it really played to her strength, which we'll get to the interconnectedness in the movie.
Okay, so
it was a really fun book.
I'm so happy you liked it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. To me, I just thought, oh, it's a rom-com. I don't want to... You know, because I had only seen the Katherine Heigl trailer, And it was something that had never interested me. So to me, I just thought, oh, this kind of reminded me. She did 2 films. She did one with Ashton Kutcher where he was a spy and she finds out.
The Ugly Truth, knocked up.
And then there was also the Ugly Truth she did with Gerard Butler, and they were just her rom-coms at the time. Either way, we don't need to worry about it. But at that time, they were just her rom-coms where, you know, she'd just have a little bit of slapstick comedy with the male lead, and I just figured this was going to be the same, so I never ever even wanted to look into it any further.
Yeah.
But the book, if you can handle it, like, it is a very graphic book, and they go into detail. I think at one point I stopped when they went into real detail, like even when Ramirez called her and played the torture of another girl. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it got graphic. So if you can handle that, I'd say listen to it, because it's a good story if you can get through that. But I think I remember at one point stopping and saying to my partner, I feel this was unnecessarily graphic.
Well, yeah, and especially the whole part you hear and you see everything about Lulu that, and you see how beaten up she was and hanging there.
Yeah.
It just, that was a bit rough.
That shocked me. I honestly was not expecting that level of detail to those, and I knew straight away. I knew the book was going to be, the movie was going to be a flop. Listening to that book, because I think if you were to get that, it needed to be like a B-grade film with no name cast to be able to get the rating it needed to pass it off as a movie.
So, what do you give the book?
The book, I would actually give this, I'd go with an 85%. Mm-hmm. Are we doing out of 100 or are we doing movie reels?
We'll do out of 5 book reels. Book reels? Book pages. Books.
Yeah, 5 books. Okay, out of 5 books, I would actually give this a 4, because I was incredibly surprised at how much I really liked it. It was a bit slow at first to get into, but I feel you needed that slow beginning to paint the picture of her lifestyle and why she was so determined to do what she did in the book. And then I found myself like more little clues unraveled as it went along, and it's like, I need to know what's happened or how you're going to figure it out.
It was really unpredictable.
Yeah, completely unpredictable.
Because you were like, was Morelli the murderer? Was he not the murderer?
I never believed he was.
I didn't believe he was, but there was no proof that he wasn't the murderer.
To me, I knew straight away he wasn't, because as soon as I guess if you get a cop who's going to skip town, but he's still there, obviously you know he's trying to clear his own name. So I could see that coming from a mile away, but it just, there were so many bad people. It was hard to pinpoint. You knew obviously Ramirez was in on it, but you just couldn't figure out the full story, because all the other characters and elements would come in and it's like, crap, like what is this? Yeah. So I definitely give that a 4 out of 5.
I agree. Rereading it, I agree. And because of the down points and things like that, I give this, the whole series in a whole. Yeah. 4 stars.
That's good.
4 movie reels.
We agreed.
Book reels.
Yeah.
I'll get it eventually. What do you think it got on book reads? Good book. Good reads.
And is this out of 100%?
Out of 5.
Out of 5. So I feel it got a 3.4?
4.4.
Wow. Yeah, see, there you go. We were right. It was a good book.
It is a good book. All right. So we'll move on to the movie.
Yes, I have so much to say
in 2012, directed by Julie Ann Robinson. She's actually also known for doing episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, and Grace and Frankie. 3 of one of the greatest comedies. This movie also stars Katherine Heigl as Stephanie Plum, Jason O'Mara as Joseph Morelli, and Daniel Sunjata as Ranger. I have a mate who is also a movie lover and hates voiceovers.
Like a narration?
Like a narration.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like that?
Some movies it can be done, but to me it comes across as lazy.
I feel with this movie you kind of need it, because most of the time she's on her own and she's processing the case, she's trying to figure it out, and it would be weird if you just recorded someone in their own house going, okay, Morelli, where can I find you?
No, but I think it could have been better.
They could have done it better, but
yes.
I think it was necessary. They did need it.
This movie had so much voiceover. To me, it felt lazy and that it felt like I was listening to the audiobook. I think there was more voiceover than dialogue. So bored in this movie.
I was working while I was watching it, and I think half the time I looked away.
This movie does not work on any level. This is a rom-com, but there was no rom and no com. There was no chemistry between Morelli and Plum, and it got old really fast. I was just bored of this movie.
Yeah.
The moment it started, I was like, this is going to be a crap movie. You know, I got my mum into the books and she's like, I love these books. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know. Let's watch the movie, Mum. I have to watch it for the podcast.
Yeah.
Come on. And we started the first 5 minutes. She's like, please turn it off. So I was like, oh, okay. So then we watched Flatliners instead.
Oh my gosh, rewatched it. I actually think for a movie, if you really love this movie, and if you're going to get the rights, you need to get the rights and secure the appropriate rating for this, because they've tried to really make it audience friendly.
Yes.
And it's not a story that can be done like that. And you really need the nitty gritty elements of it, because that's the whole point of this movie. And I just think they should have definitely not made it a rom-com. Well, I mean, you can make it funny, but you needed to make this graphic. More graphic than what it was. And actually, most of my points for this is on the characters. The characters were significantly different. And let me just scroll down and we'll get into that.
Well, I liked Debbie Reynolds as Grandma. I think she was one of the only perfect characters. I think she played it off quite well, being a grandma and trying to be like all sexy and stuff. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
And when she, let the gun off at the dinner table. And one of the biggest things I have to say about this movie is that throughout the books, Stephanie hates guns. She hates them.
Yes.
She absolutely is like, I'll use it as a necessity.
Yeah, like
but
she
I hate
doesn't
it.
use the gun really until the very end in the book. Yeah. And she even goes back and buys like the strongest grade of like mace spray or something, or pepper spray. I don't know what it is in America because we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's how much she hates them.
Whereas the credits roll at the beginning of the movie and it's all it's pictures of a sexy girl and guns.
So I actually did make a note on the opening credits.
Yeah.
So when you listen to the song, great song, it's by CeeLo Green and some girls in it, I can't remember. Anyway, the song is really nice, but if you listen to it, you can see they've really, really tried to give it like a James Bond private eye type of feel, but you can immediately see they tried to make it so obviously upbeat with a more looks could kill style that I feel it kind of tainted the film to be a funny romance comedy film, whereas that's not the idea of that type of song for the intro. Like when you watch James Bond, you're ready for like all the songs are so famous throughout all of the movies, and they're very like I wouldn't even know what you would consider that genre, almost like a jazzy, deep jazzy sort of film noir style. And I can see they tried to do it, but they tried to make it poppy, like a pop song, and it just didn't work. And I feel that lost interest immediately. I lost interest watching that.
But again, there was no chemistry between Stephanie Plum and Joseph Morelli at all.
One big thing I put on that too, she fell for him so quickly, whereas in the book, she never, like, so in the book, you read her narration in her own mind, right? She's like, oh yeah, I can see he still looks good, but I'm not going to show him anything. And then immediately she they go to the trash can, the dumpster scene, and she like gave in nearly immediately to him. And it's like, no, she always hid her true feelings to him, because to him, he was never too sure if he could trust her enough or not, that it took him nearly half the book to say, we need to work together.
Yes.
And she gave in way too quickly.
She was very weak in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, they really...
Very weak.
I think they focused more on their relationship than the story.
Yes.
And on her character, so they took her strength away of investigation out and they made her a charge first, questions later style person. And I feel that is not true to her character in the book.
Nope.
Because she knew her weakness and she knew she didn't like fighting, she didn't like guns, any of that. So she went with, like I was saying, the investigation side of things. Whereas in this one, she just charged, and it really, it didn't work because you didn't feel the fear like in the book of a crazy psychopath who keeps calling her or like dumping bodies outside her house and things
Yeah.
like that. So to me, because she was so headstrong in that way, I didn't feel any fear in the job for her.
One thing that comes to mind is when she's having a shower and Joyce Morley walks in and then she's naked and she's like, and then she's, shit, what do I do? What do I do right now? You know, and then she's struggling to get a phone and then she's struggling going, who do I call? I can't call my dad.
Yeah,
you know? So then she calls Ranger, and then in the movie, it's just that scene doesn't work.
Yes. Yeah, so with that scene, I think that really, obviously I haven't read the other books like you said, and you said their relationship builds, but I feel like that scene, they've tried to build the relationship in the other books quickly, that there is a bit of flirting. Because as soon as she's like, well, I'm naked, and it's like, well, I'll be right there. Like, the flirting was immediate with them two in the movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a good-looking man. I can see why, but it shouldn't have been like that. I really liked that he was a friend, and he was there to train and teach her, to help her do good in a man's world in that type of job.
Yeah, see, I kind of pictured Ranger slightly differently and Morelli differently as well. But another thing that's just is the scene with Lulu, right? Where she's in the book, she's beaten, she's hung, it's graphic, it's disgusting.
Like, she's literally unconscious for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something, right?
Yeah, she's in a coma.
Yeah, so she's in a coma, and then when they wheel her out with one tiny bruise on her face, and I'm like,
and her
arm in a sling, and it's like, you can't fully grasp the extent of the person that is threatening her, because you're minimalizing the attacks that he's doing on other people, so you can't feel that fear. Like, I didn't believe the fear when she was standing there. It's like, oh, is she okay? Is she okay? And she just comes out with a broken arm and a bruise on her face. So her acting didn't seem believable.
And also, one little thing is when the nurse, whatever, brings her up the chair, she gets up, and the moment he does that, the chair's gone.
Yeah, and she was so funny when he's like, I bought these for you. I don't want your roses. Oh, they're for me, I'll take them.
I know, that was cute.
It was funny. Another character I did have to talk about is John Leguizamo.
Yes,
now,
I was about to bring him up.
Love him. I always have, ever since The Pest, one of his best movies.
Oh my goodness, we were just talking about this the other day at work. Yes.
I love that movie.
We were talking about how John Leguizamo is in this movie, and my mates were like, oh yeah, out of Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, no,
The Pest.
And they're like, what is that movie?
Film.
I'm like, you've never seen The Pest? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh,
I know.
Thank you. High five, because you know The Pest.
Yes, he's so funny in that. Like,
that was mine and
so
my sister's
hilarious.
one of our favorite movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I think I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I already told myself I wanted to watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So
Ooh.
The original classic. I'm on me and my partner are doing a thing going back, watching all the classic movies that we know about, but I never got around to watching. So, but yeah, anyway, I love him. He is so good. And if you haven't watched it, do watch his movie, The Chef. He's kind of a side character, but that is such a good film.
The Chef.
It's got Jon Favreau in it. So good. But anyway, love him. Just not suited for that role.
Oh, he was so bad in this movie.
Yeah, like when you read the book, I really got the picture that he was a manager. He was stressed, kind of anxious, like a bit of anxiety, like twitching. Oh, what am I going to do? Like, you know, when they're always touching their head, looking down, don't know what to do. I can fix this problem with some money, but I don't want to keep doing this sort of thing. He wasn't believable that he had to clean up this mess. It didn't come across to me as that. And he didn't seem believable that he was upset. Like, he really seemed upset for the girls that did get attacked, that he was able, like when he saw Stephanie, but it just didn't come across that. Like, he really failed. It was a hit and a miss for him for this.
So I have to say that also on that note, Ramirez wasn't scary at all to me.
Yeah, I feel like I really understand why he was toned down. That is not a character that needs to be in a film like that.
No.
It would not work. So I understand it, but I feel he tried to be intimidating with staring. So, you know, the boxing scene. I have to admit, when she first walked into the boxing gym, my heart did sink a little bit into my stomach because I knew what was coming and I knew what had happened in the book, and that would be such a scary situation to be in.
Yes.
And I did like kind of hold my breath a bit, but then when it happened, I was like, wow, that was it. But I feel like he was really trying to intimidate her by staring.
Yeah.
But as the character, when I go back to the fact that he is the literal definition of a psychopath, Ramirez took joy in telling people, I always get the kill, and air quotation marks, the kill. Like, and he's like, no, B refuses me. I'm not going to say the full word, but like he loved to say that sort of thing. And they really took all his script and stuff away. And I think it minimized the character and the effect that he had in the story. So it was a big fail. And it's not his fault. It was the script writer's fault.
The writing in this was terrible.
Yeah.
It
was very written for her type of films. She has a very particular type of film.
Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, Katherine Heigl. It was definitely written for the actor.
Yeah, I just think it was just such a downfall, this movie.
Yeah.
Because when I found out it was going to be a movie, I was like, yes, they're going to make it. Oh my goodness, how exciting. They're going to make one for the money into the movie.
Yeah.
Saw the trailer and was just like, oh, so disappointed.
I do have to say, and this is just a personal note, got nothing to do with the story, but for the actress, I do love her films. For rom-com films, like, she's funny.
I'm making the most
I know
horrible
you
face.
are, but I think I liked her because I did watch her on Grey's Anatomy, and I kind of fell into the, you know, when you watch something and you see an actor and you kind of, and I fell into it, and I'm like, you know what, I don't mind her. I really love that they gave her brown hair in this, and she looks gorgeous with brown hair, and I don't see why so many actresses have to change their hair to blonde, and I just think she looked gorgeous with the brown hair. And that's just my one note I have to say on that. But I do want to talk about interconnectedness, which is what I was talking about in the book.
Yes.
So it is that kind of network in the book that everyone knows everyone, or someone's cousin knows this person who told this person da. They tried to make it out like that in the book, in the movie, but it was just not believable. Like, does your mother know this? Or, this person
when
knows
she
this
goes
person.
to Morelli's mum's house, and she's like, I'm going to tell your mum that you've got a gun. And
and it's like, but I don't, like, it doesn't come across that you know the street, like, people, and, like, you don't know all the families, and, like, it didn't come across that way, that there was a connection, a network in New Jersey like it did in the book. It wasn't believable. And I do have to say one more thing.
I'm just like, this movie, I've got really nothing great to say other than Debbie Reynolds as grandma.
Yes, yeah. There was one other thing I have to say, which was really kind of annoying. And I'm trying not to say annoying as much because I always say things are annoying, and I'm trying to think of other words. I disliked that throughout the whole film, they painted her to be a psycho person who ran over him with a car, but no one acknowledges what he did to her when she was 16.
Yeah.
Like, he coerced her into that. In the book, it's like, oh, I didn't really want to, but he kind of convinced me to do it. And then he wrote it all over the school walls.
Yes.
That is a horrible thing to do to a girl. Like, and it's like, so you can understand why she did what she did.
Of course.
At her, like, I can
I'd probably
totally
do the same.
Yeah, like, I can understand that. And that, like, there are girls who don't handle that very well when things like that happen to them. And, you know, to see that she was able to take that and be like, you know what, I'm going to break your leg. Totally fair and justifiable. But they never mention that in the book. And they just, like, she just comes across as a psycho who ran over him with a car.
Yeah.
But they never explained why.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the full story of the characters.
Yeah.
And it didn't mesh well, the parts that they chose of each of them.
Even when you find out who the killer is and all that stuff, and Morelli's in the coal truck, I was just like, even that was a massive letdown.
Yeah. Yep.
To know that, you know, Jimmy Alpha was in on it the whole time.
He didn't even look like, so when you read it in the book, he seems sorry, but he seems like, this is my only way I'm going to make it stop. This is why I have to do what I'm going to do, and I'm really sorry, but it needs to end here. Whereas this, he's like, it's like, it's money. I can find my way to another ticket out, or...
But also, when he's not even caught, Morelli's locked handcuffed, and Stephanie's like, what do I do? And he's just spilling his entire story.
Yeah.
Really, mate?
Yeah.
Really? Like, I don't understand that when bad guys say, well, now, you're not going to be able to get out of this situation. I can blah, 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 my whole story.
I know.
But he wasn't even, I think he was a bad choice.
And yes, I 1000% agree.
But also, like, Ranger wasn't as much in this movie.
The beginning sped up so much from the book. Like, she jumped straight into the gun range. Ranger didn't teach her how to shoot. It was her cousin's husband, who was a cop, who's like, I'm not letting you continue on this case unless I teach you how to shoot.
Yeah. It's not a long book, but there's a lot involved in the book.
It paints the picture in the book.
It's a very fast-paced book. Whereas the movie, just everything happened. They tried to squeeze in
so much
in a short amount of time. I just was so disappointed in this.
I 1000% agree.
All right. What do you give this movie out of 5 reels?
I give this a 0.
Yeah.
It's my first 0, but I will never watch it again. I would be more inclined to listen, because I don't read, but I'd be more inclined to listen to the book again. And you know me, I'm not a book person, then watch this movie.
Yeah, I give this one a 0 as well, because
this is our first 0.
I know.
You've never done a 0 before. You've done like a 0.2.
This is worse than the remake of Psycho.
Hell yeah, I would watch Psycho again over this crappy ass film.
I would watch Flatliners, the remake, over this.
Yes. Yeah. This is the worst film I think we've ever done.
Yeah. I would watch The Toxic Avenger over this.
Let's just say that we would watch anything over this.
Tell me you know The Toxic Avenger.
I know of it.
It is like hokey. It's pretty... Okay. What do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
23%.
Really?
Well, I mean, that's pretty low for Rotten Tomatoes scoring.
2%.
Doesn't even deserve that. It
deserves 0.5%.
It's so bad. I can't believe it. Yeah, no, that is the most honest rating it deserves.
One other thing is that, like, I do like that Marily calls it cupcake.
Yeah.
Right? But I hate the end when he's like, here, honey, here's your cupcake.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention as well in my notes, I hated the way they handled Morty Byers' death. So she immediately turns around and she's like, our car. And it's like, no, the character was in legitimate shock. She didn't talk because she was in shock. She was like, oh my God, that could have been me.
Yeah.
And she went through the motions when her like cousin's husband turned up and things like that. So she was just in the motions because of shock. Whereas this, it was like, let's make a joke out of it. No, this was meant to be
somebody actually died.
Yeah, like it could have been her, and it was meant to be her pivotal point in the movie. Okay, I had to get that off my chest before we finished.
Okay,
and I hate that I have to tell you, it was one final point that I disliked about this film.
Yeah.
They made every relationship a romance. There were 3 guys going after her. You had the Ranger flirting, you had Morelli, and then you had the guy they tried to set her up with. And it's like, why? You're not the hottest chick in town. Why do you have to turn every interaction with a guy? 4 guys. Ramirez wanted her. Why did you have to do that? Like, it's not necessary. She can have a friendship.
On another note, I am glad that they kept Rex the hamster.
Yes, me too.
Because he is very important in the book. Because he becomes like her confidant, her best friend.
And her her security wheel, because of the wheel, a hamster wheel. But when you read it, she needed to hear the wheel, the hamster and everything in her room to make her feel safe because she's so afraid, which you don't get that vibe in the movie. But yeah, I'm very happy that they kept that.
All right, so...
for the 4th time ever trying to finish this.
So let us know of your thoughts of the book versus the movie. Now, let's move on to Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables. I have to tell everybody about a D&D game.
Yes. Okay, so by the time everyone listens to this is going to be a few months away. So we are recording quite in advance. Sorry, but continue.
So, as we all know, I'm DMing for Ange and a few people. So the funniest thing in the whole entire world happened. They were in battle with a bunch of cultists and kobolds and things. And they decided, I'm going to try and distract them. And they were like, look over there. Rolled nothing. They were like, oh.
We tried it like
45 times.
Yeah, so we had some characters we just picked up along the way, and they couldn't go into battle. We couldn't risk losing them. So the people playing the game decided, okay, let's just leave them in the back and see if we can eventually get them to run away. And
so anyway, they're rolling and they're like, oh, okay, Tiamat's over there, the god, quick, let's roll and see if they can run away because Tiamat's coming. Nah. Then what happened? Alice decided, she led this whole story. She's like, okay, I'm going to roll. And she's like, what happens if I roll and I say, hey, 2 towns down, there is a massive sale on rat pies and that they are running, they're on special and it's a 24-hour flash sale on rat pies. They're the best pies in the whole entire world. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Just roll. She rolls a freaking 20. She
plus
rolls
her,
a 20.
4, so it ended up becoming like 24.
No, plus she had inspiration or something, so
Yeah.
it was like a high roll. I'm just like, what? They were in the middle of the battle, and then I'm like, okay, so there's a flash sale of rat pies 2 towns down. So now all the bad guys are 2 towns away, eating meat pies while you're all just trying to get survivors.
I mean, it was bound to work eventually. For the amount of times we tried, it had to have worked.
A natural 20 on that. And now I'm like, how am I going to get all the bad guys back? And the fact that you guys don't talk to any of the characters, you just start like going into battle.
Yeah, but we learnt in the first round. So when Steph nearly killed us on the first day, like we tried to talk to them, and you were so like, when you get in the characters, you were like, no, sorry, I'm not interested. No, we're just here to battle. So we're like, okay, we're just going to have to battle anyway. So let's just get to it and battle and kill them so we can move on. So why waste our time? You're telling us we have to talk to them now, but before you wouldn't have a bar of it.
You just can't just go straight into battle.
Well, we did, and we won.
Yeah, by having a rat pie special.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is like honestly one of the funniest things. We were like cackling ourselves over it. It was absolutely just pure gold.
It was so funny. It was the perfect way to end. Now, I need to tell you, I only watched this last night, so this is a good indication of what time, like what day of we're in July. I watched, it was just released on Disney Plus, Hamilton the musical. Oh my God, I have not stopped listening to that soundtrack. It's so freaking good. You need to watch it. It is amazing. I've been talking to you nonstop about it since I got here. And I was showing you songs. You don't seem interested, but it's so brilliant. And I hope to be able to buy the pre-sale tickets for it in Sydney when it comes out next year. So
I'm hoping to buy tickets to the Harry Potter thing when they come back out. Oh, because of COVID and stuff.
Yeah, that's so good. I definitely recommend seeing that one.
Also, I know I'm really slow to the game. However, I started Schitt's Creek. It is honestly one of the best shows out on TV. It is so funny. And I just, oh my God.
I started that when it came out quite a few years ago.
It's so good. I love the mum so much. Where she's like,
I love
the 2
Catherine
wigs
O'Hara.
don't... She's like... She puts 2 of her wigs in the bag or something, and then she's like, no, Martha doesn't talk to this one. And that... Because she's it's so good. And,
I liked it, but it wasn't enough to keep me interested.
No, I love it.
Like I watched I think 4 or 5 eps in, gave up.
Also, I finished watching Last One Laughing on Amazon. I was expecting that to be a bit poo-poo because I like Rebel Wilson, but I was expecting it to be...
The things she's been hosting lately have not been very good.
No.
And so that's what I thought with this one too.
No, this is honestly one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. So it's a bunch of Australian comedians locked in a room together for 6 hours. And the whole point is you've got to make each other laugh, but you can't laugh yourself.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they do, Sam Simmons deserves to win. He is honestly one of the funniest people in the world. And he is just the most randomest person. So one of the episodes, he comes out and he's dressed as Sally Fletcher from Home and Away. And he's talking about how he's like, I was in the office and I went to reach up for something. And then Mr. Fisher came in and, oh no, I'm pregnant. And then just the random stuff that they do. And I don't want to give it away,
Yeah.
but for those two people who've seen it, jacket. That's all I'm going to say. And then also Fanta. You're not going to get this, but I went to the vending machine and I was like, oh yeah, I might get a drink. I pressed the wrong button and I got Fanta the other day and I cracked up laughing, thinking it was the funniest thing. Everyone's like, what is so funny? And then I told them what happened. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to tell you. So Sam Simmons comes out completely naked and then he plays, because you can have props and stuff, and he has a blow-up pool. And then they play like, oh, music. And then they all come around and they're like, praise Sam. And then he gets out Fanta and he's naked in the pool and they're just pouring Fanta all over him and they're like, praise Sam.
Oh my God.
And then they're like bowing at him and then...
I can see why you laughed when you got it.
Yeah, and I was like, I can never look at Fanta again. But it goes on and it is honestly one of the funniest shows.
I'll have to have a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. But other than D&D and TV, nothing. I've just been working hard.
Yeah, just same with me, working hard, staying at home still, minus obviously we are allowed in each other's house, so we are recording here today, but just trying to consciously stay in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next month first.
Oh, yeah.
So it is actually my choice again. I'm so excited. So we're doing the original Omen movie. So I think it was in the 70s. Versus the new one, which I'm pretty sure came out the 6th of June 2006. They tried to do some gimmick thing. It has Julia Stiles in it. So we're doing those two Omen movies.
I'm really scared because I don't like cults. I don't like paranormal, scary stuff. So to me, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen was Insidious. That gave me such nightmares. I was so scared, except for the whole devil thing. That was really, you lost your budget on that. But that was honestly, and then The Conjuring, I can't even look at the poster of The Nun because that scares me.
It's so funny you say that because last weekend I did see some friends and we were talking about horror films and he asked me, he's like, what is the thing that scares you? And I couldn't think on the spot. And he was like, his thing is he can't stand movies that really mess with your mind. Is it real or is it not? And then I had a big think about it, and the things that actually scare me are more to, I guess, realistic of psycho people, because you never know what they're going to do. You don't know if they're going to be nice, you don't know if they're going to snap. Even if you've befriended them, it will just take one thing to make them tick. Yeah, so to me it is an actual psychotic person attacking you is what would scare me more than any of the other crap.
Nah, paranormal stuff and that scares me.
Because my godmother used to always say to me when we'd watch a horror film, and I watched all these when I was a kid with her, and she'd always be like, it's the living you need to be afraid of. And I think that just stuck with me with like psycho people, because you just don't know. You don't know. Like, and I was just recently listening, and what made me realize what it is that scares me is I just listened to, it's a podcast called True Blue Crimes. They're an Aussie podcast, and they were talking about Australian crimes, and they did the Snowtown murders, which was back in Adelaide. I don't want to watch the movie because I know there is animal cruelty in it. So that is a movie I don't think I'll ever watch.
No, see, animal cruelty, I can't do.
I just cannot. So, but you did hear about it in the podcast, but it was about the bodies in the barrels that were found I think they were found in the early 2000s, but it had been happening all the way through the 90s, all in Adelaide. And that made me realize, just like, as you were listening further and further, it was just that they were finding excuses to attack someone. And to me, that is a psychotic person, and that scares me more, because you just don't know. You honestly don't know what'll set them off, and that scares me. Because it's a real thing.
Katherine Knight scares me so much.
She was in Adelaide. They call it like the murder capital of Australia.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to one of the girls at work about horror and how I'm not a big fan of it, but you're introducing me into it. And then I was saying how we have this podcast and you talk about stories. And I just mentioned, I was like, oh, I can't remember her name, but we talk about the girl who is found in the cement thing in Vegas, and she goes, oh, boom, I know what you're talking about. She's like, Eliza Lamb, I know about that.
The video is so creepy to watch.
She's like, I watched the video, and she's like, was she crazy in the head? Was she? And I'm like,
no one knows. No one knows. And she had no like medical. I should do a Penny Dreadful again. I really should.
Yes. You should do one for the Omen episode, so that way we can...
Yeah, make it real spooky.
Yeah.
I do have to say, since we are still in our notables, I did watch an episode of, there's something called Unsolved on Netflix. It's new. I'm a big fan of BuzzFeed Unsolved Network with Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej. And then so we saw this and we thought, oh, this could be good too. And the first episode creeped me out because it's a more realistic situation. But yeah, it's all about these murders and things that were never solved. And watch it because like they really are trying to get people to come and provide information. But yeah, it was just insane. So they kind of creep me out. And usually when I finish, I'm like, okay, I want to watch something good now before bed. And I'll put like Family Guy or something on just to, but if anyone's interested, watch that. But we should probably wrap it up. This has become a very long episode.
Yes. Okay, so if you want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can send us an email at nerdazons@outlook.com. And if you want to listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your good podcasts from.
Bye for now.
Bye.